Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, today we're going to get back on that bumper apron or splash guard, whatever it's called, off that 1950 Chevy truck, the 5-window. We got all the sheet metal work done. It's looking pretty good, but today we're going to get some body filler on it and get it in prime and get it that much closer to color and clear. So let's just jump right back on this thing and get it knocked out. Okay, we got it ground, everything roughed up around it with some 80 grit. Got some lightweight body filler here. I'm going to go ahead and just lay it on. Since we have to sculpt this line back in here, I'm probably going to put it down way thicker than I want. I'll cheese grate it and sand it back down to where it belongs. I've got it on a 2x6 here, kind of keep it from bouncing and bending. Since it's so flimsy, it's kind of hard to get something straight. So I want to make sure that it stays relatively flat while I'm applying the body filler. Putting it on to a bouncing piece of sheet metal is not going to be easy, so I figured this 2x6 will help quite a bit. Now a lot of this, it's just going to be, I'm going to eyeball it to see exactly where I'm at and where I need to go. Try to get this reconstructed here. And like I said, I'm going to be putting it on way thicker than I would normally like to, but most of it's going to be coming off. It's certainly not going to be, a 1/4 inch thick like it was when we first started. Hopefully. I think we did a better job of prepping than that, sheet metal work. We've got some glazing to do on here as well. Got some chips and other stuff I don't want to fill with lightweight body filler. So I'm going to tie this all the way back into the original body filler. These odd shapes are kind of a pain in the butt. Not like a nice flat fender. So we've got this lip right here that I need to recreate. So I'm not really going to try to do that right now. I'm going to try to lay down through here just real lightly. Just to flatten it up so that edge goes on the bead right there. Right on that step. And we've got right across his face done really well. It's sticking over there. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to roll that over. And somebody tell me to stop. I'll keep playing with it. It's going to need another coat, I know that for sure. I'm going to scrape some of this extra off here so I don't have to do it later. Try to be as clean as possible. Now, so far on this truck, this is probably the most oddball shape we've done so far. I feel like it's low right there. I've got some of this I just scraped off. Material hasn't set up yet. So we're going to go ahead and add it in there. And then we'll come back across here. Just like that. Looks pretty good. We're going to leave it alone right there. I'll set it out in the sun, speed up the set. We'll come back and cheese grate it. Okay, it's set up. It's still semi-soft, so we're just going to go ahead and cheese grate this a little bit. Since we're trying to keep it flat, this way, I'm not going to, hold the cheese grater across like this. I just follow everything. So I'm just going to kind of run it across here. 2x6 is kind of holding it flat from me pushing on it. All right, let me grab a straight edge. We'll lay a straight edge on there and see how we look. All right, let's see. Well, it looks pretty good. Throughout here, it's got a little dip right here, but the sheet metal keeps twisting on me, so I'm going to try to just make the best of it. So it's high right here, so we can take some more down right there. Rubbing the straight edge on there, it leaves a mark, so I know I'm high right here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good right there. I think I'm going to stop. I don't want to do too much, then regret it later. I have to add more material. Okay, so our first pass with the body filler, it looks pretty good. Got a little bit of high right here, but I want to use the 36 grit to sand this. And I may get the air sander out to do that so I'm not pushing so hard and so it doesn't distort it while I'm trying to sand. We'll see. All in all, it doesn't look too bad. We're going to resculpt this whole thing. Getting this lip back on here is going to be the hardest part. I may make a block up to get that put back in there. All right, we're going to let this set up a little bit more and then we'll get this sanded up. Okay, I went ahead and grabbed my Ingersoll Rand big air file. I got, I think that's 40 grit on there. So we're just going to run over this and see what happens. So with this air file, which you don't have to have one, all I have to do is rub it back and forth. There's no pushing down. It's moving back and forth so many strokes a second or a minute. There's not any effort you need to put into it. So you can I've actually done hoods where I've held up on it because it's heavy and I didn't want it to push down on the hood. So right away it's bringing it together really quick. It's long enough and flat enough so it'll bridge right across everything. And we're coming together, it's feathering it in real nice here. We have some transition to come into over here. So we've got some metal showing right here and a little bit right here, which is perfect. And then it's contacting all the way across here. Really nice. So that's actually looking pretty good. Now this lip right here is a different story. I don't think I can hold this on here. Maybe I can. Kind of file that lip in. So that's working really good right there. Let me switch sides and we'll file it from this way because it does kind of go at a peak right here in the center. So it's straight here and straight there and they meet right there. All right, the front lip's looking pretty good. Not that you really see it. Got a sharp edge there. We'll round that over later. I know it's hard for you guys to see, but it's coming together pretty good. I think this front needs to come down. As soon as I get this profile, the front lip done, then I can lower this to match the height that it's supposed to be all the way through. And we're already looking pretty close right now. Okay, I'm going to do some more sanding on this off camera and I'll bring you back when we're a little bit closer. Okay, I got it sanded and roughed out pretty nicely. I got a couple of low spots that I'm going to need to glaze in. So I got some glazing putty mixed up here. Got some pinholes along this edge. I'm going to try to keep that shape as much as possible because I really had to work pretty hard to get that shape back in there. Got a big one right here. Okay, that looks pretty good throughout there. I'm going to hit some of these chips over here out of camera here. Okay, I think that's about it. I don't see anything else. We'll undoubtedly have to fill again. I don't think I've got everything, but hopefully I do. And as you can see, I've sanded that profile back in there and the metal's showing here and there. Got a little bit of spot there. All in all, it's starting to come together nicely. It still looks pretty flat. It's reasonably flat. I don't think I could ever get it perfect, but I think it looks pretty good so far. We're going to let this stuff set up overnight and we'll come back and sand it in the morning. Okay, it's the next day. The glazing putty's obviously set up. I could have sanded more on it yesterday. This stuff sets up pretty quick, but frankly I was getting a little sick of looking at it, so it was good to take a quick break. I'm going to hit a lot of this glazing, just the flat areas with the DA with some 80 on it, just to speed this up a little bit. And then we'll get into some hand sanding real quick to get some of these areas around these little detailed lips here. And then we'll see where we're at, see if we're ready for primer. All right, we got everything flattened out with the DA. It feels pretty good, not great, but good. Pretty happy the way it's looking so far. It's just a lot of hand sanding left around this lip here. So I'm not gonna bore you with that. I'm just gonna get the little blocks out. We're gonna get this all sweetened up real nice, and then we'll take a tour of it and hopefully get some primer out of here in a minute. Okay, I got it finished sanding up all the glazed spots and some of the other areas, but it definitely needs some primer before I can move forward. So let's get a couple of good coats of primer on this, and then we'll get some blocking done on it once it sets up. Okay, it's flashed off completely, so it looks really good. We just need to put one more good wet coat on it, and then we're just going to let it set overnight. We'll come back and block sand this. So let me grab the gun and the respirator, and we'll get another coat on this thing. Okay, just like that, we got a good wet coat. You notice I put a little bit extra in a few spots I can see that are kind of, you can see them in the light white shiny. So I could tell that it's going to need a little bit more there, so I kind of blast a little extra right there. But other than that, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to let it sit overnight, and we'll block it tomorrow and sand it and see how it looks. Okay, the primer's all nice and dry and hardened. It's the next day. So I'm going to go ahead and just block this out with my DuraBlock. This is my thick one. It doesn't really bend. I got some 120 on here. It's not brand new, but it feels pretty good. So we're just going to kind of go through and block this a little bit over the top of my repairs. This side's looking actually pretty good. It didn't have the majority of the repair was like from here down. So I'm just going to block this out real quick. We'll get some guide coating on here. We'll see how flat this thing's going to end up. So most of our repair was right through here. So let me block that real quick, and then we'll see where we're at. And we'll get some guide coating out on this thing, help me see what's going on. I'm sure it's very hard for you guys to see as well. I can see some areas right away, but they're really easy to see. Some of the other areas aren't so much. Got a little high spot coming in here. I can see steel already. I'm gonna have to tap that down, I believe. Okay, let me get some guide coat in on this and we'll see where we stand. All right, let's see how we did. Okay, so right here, got a little low spot here, and a lot of these are coming in because that's right where the brackets that hold this thing on the truck are mounted. Now, for me to get this perfectly straight, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, I would have to cut all the spot welds, get all of these off, get this thing perfectly flat, and then spot weld it back on. And frankly, this piece of sheet metal isn't worth that much labor. You can get a replacement one, probably shipped to you at your door for 125 bucks. So I'm not going to spend that kind of time on it. It's a splash apron, bumper apron. So we're going to get it flat and straight-ish, and then that should be good enough. So I got a little high spot here. I'm going to need to tap down with the hammer, but I'm going to continue to sand this real quick and see how it turns out. Some of these spots here in the middle should sand out no problem. Okay, a lot of those are coming out really nicely, just with the primer. Let me grab the hammer real quick. We're going to tap down on that, and then we're going to keep on sanding. So this is a really small spot, so I'm just going to use my pointed hammer, and I'm just going to tap lightly right here. All right, let's do a little more sanding and see if this comes out. We may have to tap it down some more. Came out a little. We need a little bit lower. That's right where the heel of that bracket sits, back underneath. And when these got hit, it rolled them up underneath onto the sheet metal. So that's a point where this all bent around it, and it left a high spot when I bent it back. Still a little low right there. That probably needs to be filled. We're going to concentrate a little bit down here. Got a little blue showing through right there. That's all right. Okay, it's looking pretty good. We got a little low spot right there. Probably need to fill. Got a little low spot right here on this edge. I don't know if that'll sand out. Oh, well, it looks like there's some glazing putty coming through. The rest looks pretty flat. So if I chase this, I'm just going to put a flat spot there. I don't want to do that. All right, let's turn around. Work on the other end. Okay, just looking at the guide coat right here, this all looks pretty good. There's some orange peel and some other stuff in here, so hopefully this one will sand out real nice, this side. Okay, it's not looking too bad. Little metal coming through over here, but it's flat, so it's just got some sand scratches down here. A little spot right here coming through. It looks flat around it, maybe a little bit low right there, we'll have to see. Got a low spot right here for sure, and a kind of a high spot and a low spot. That's right where this bracket is, and like I said, it twists and it tweaks this metal out. So we're going to see what we can do. These areas down here look like they'll sand out no problem. Yeah, these are sanded out really nice. So I don't see any problem with anything on this end. Got a little low spot there. I think the paint was chipped right there, so the primer didn't fill it as well. Yeah, that all came out really nice. Okay, so right through the center here, it looks pretty good along this line till we get to right about here. It's a little low there, not too much. A little low right here on this corner and a little high on this one, the opposite side. So this isn't going to sand out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block it down until I feel the area around it's pretty flat. And then we'll have to scuff this up and put some glazing on there to bring that back up. Across here, it all feels pretty good. It's all mostly sanding out. You can see right along that edge there. That's coming together nicely. And that looks good. We just have a little feather-edged area right there the primer can't take out. And then on the back side here, it kind of rolls a little bit. I don't know if this pan is supposed to be perfectly flat throughout here, but it was rolled, had a little bit of contour to it, so that's what I'm putting back. Just could be part of the repair, the original repair. That's still a little high. I'm going to tap that down some more. Might be a little easier because the 2x6 is right underneath it this time. Pretty flat all through here except this little spot right here, so it's definitely going to need to be filled. But it looks like we sanded almost everything out except 1, 2, and maybe one more spot way over here. That's a little low. I'll sand it a little bit more, see if we can get it out. But all in all, we're looking pretty good. Okay, I got everything sanded, tapped down, and straightened out the best I could. Got a little tape so I don't get it down inside the groove here of that little lip right there. Just mixed up a small batch of glazing putty here. Go ahead and get this laid in. All right, let's clean up the board. Peel off the tape. Okay, we got everything filled. It's hardened. We're ready to go. I'm not going to bore you guys with sand. I just got some 80 grit. It's kind of worn out a little bit on my short little block here. And I'm just going to sand these out. The idea is I want to flatten this, and then I'll come in later and I'll sweeten up this little detail line here on the straights and on the curves. So the tape kept most of it out of there, but it was a little low right here. So I had to build some up. Hopefully this will take care of it and we'll get some primer on it real quick. So I'm going to get this sanded and then I'll bring you back. Okay, we got it filled again. I blocked it out flat and then I had to fill it again a little bit more because I didn't get enough in one little spot and one little spot over here. So I filled it twice. I got all the areas blocked out. This is looking good over here. Getting this little detail line on here is no fun. So on this side it's not too bad because it's pretty much straight, but on this radius right here it's kind of a pain in the butt. I'll hold that up. So that right there, I just take the pencil like I do and I hold my finger and I just draw that radius. So when I'm sanding, I make sure it gets recreated properly. So we're ready for some primer. I really don't have anything else to prime, so I'm going to mix up a little tiny batch. I've got the license plate holder, I think, that needs to be done. Other than that, that's all I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little tiny batch. We'll get 2 good wet coats on this, and then we'll have to wait till tomorrow and see how we did. Okay, we got... it's all set up and hard and ready to go. I'm going to sand it with the stiff block with some 120 just real lightly. This 120 is not fresh, so it shouldn't cut too hard. And I'm going to just take some of the orange peel off, then we're going to go right into 220 or 240 and then keep sanding. So I'm just going to run through this real quick and see how she looks. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and guide coat it just to be safe. There's some orange peel right here that needs to be sanded out, but I'm just trying to make sure it's nice and flat and my repairs don't have any little funky spot that I can't see in this gray. So let me get some guide coat on here real quick and we're going to block it out again, hopefully for the last time. Then all we have to do is smooth out the primer and she's ready to be painted. Okay, got the guide coating on there. I'm going to hit it with the 120. And we're just going to shape this a little bit on these edges. Make sure those lines are pretty nice and straight. And got a little spot right there, just showed up from the guide coating I didn't see earlier. And we should have plenty of primer on here. We should be able to work all this out without having to spot prime again. But I don't want to jinx myself. Okay, it's looking really good. Really good. Both sides are looking good. The middle looks really nice. Now you can still see a little guide coating right here. Now that's from when I was guide coating it. The foam pad went over the edge a little bit, but we've got a nice, clean, straight line on this side. So that I'm thinking that's going to come out really nice. So we're going to switch over from 120 to 220, but I'm going to use the foam pad, the softer foam pad with some fresh 220, and we'll get all these 120 sand scratches out, and then it'll allow me to get down in this groove here and get some of this sanded up real nice. Now I'm not going to bore you with that. We're just going to be doing the same thing, and we're just going to try to get this sweetened up, and hopefully if nothing shows up, then we can go straight into 400 and then some 600, and this will be ready to spray. So let me run through that real quick off camera, and then I'll bring you back. We'll see how she looks. Okay, we got it all sanded up with the 220, and it's looking really, really good. Nice and smooth, nothing came through. So I think we are going to move outside and sand it with some, wet sand it with some 400, then 600 real quick. And I believe this is going to be about ready to paint. So let me go out there real quick and get this thing sanded up, and I'll bring it back. We'll take a final look at it. Okay, got it wet sanded with some 400, then some 600. looks really good. It's actually shiny. I don't know if you can see that. When you sand these primers with 600, they start to get shiny and glass-like, which is exactly what you want when you're spraying base coat on them. So it came out really nice. All the body lines look good. It's got a little bit of wave to it, but I'm hoping once it's bolted in, it is kind of flimsy, and I did have to work around some other repairs and some other damage. So all in all, it came out really great. We've got a little bit of blue showing here and there. Some of this you may not be able to see, but that's okay. It's not edges of paint, and that base coat will not lift that. I'm not worried about it. Some of the older base coats were pretty aggressive, and they would lift older finishes really easy, especially on the edge of paint. So it came out great. This will be set aside. I've got a couple other small pieces to get ready, and then we'll spray the grill and this piece blue and get them cleared, and they will be done. Okay, that just about wraps up this project for the day. I got the bumper apron or splash guard or whatever you guys call it done. It looks great. I'm really happy the way it came out. What'd you guys work on? I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I don't care how rough or maybe you think it doesn't look that great. Send me those pics. I'd love to post them at the end of the video so everybody else could see. It'd be really cool. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. And you like what you saw, give me that thumbs up. It really helps promote the channel. We'll see you on the next one.